Like Moses freeing and leading the Israelites out of slavery to the promised land of Canaan. That's very similar to Jesus leading us to heaven. Same principles apply. A leader taking us from a life of despondency, confusion, depression, and disaster to a life of promise, hope, and happiness. Now, Moses got to Canaan in about 2 years after he left Egypt. Did you know that? And they were about to enter. They could have, but what happened? The Israelites again started to complain, turn negative, and doubt God. They ruined it. They could have just waltzed right in to the promised land, but no, it took another 40 years. Like going on vacation. It takes you about 3 hours to get to the beach. Turns into 5 or 6 as the kids in the back seat, they got to stop to pee, they got to stop to eat, and then they're fighting back and forth. Such a distraction, you miss the exit twice, and it's longer than it should be. And it's the same basic thing as Moses with the Israelites. The Israelites evidently wanted to first survey Canaan, the promised land, before entering it. And then God allowed it. The book says, the Lord said to Moses, send men to reconnoiter the land of Canaan, which I am giving the Israelites. Reconnoiter? What kind of word is that? I've never heard that word before. Board guy, you ever hear that word? Reconnoiter. Say it with me. It's fun to say. Reconnoiter. It rolls right off your tongue. Such a funny word. That's like a spelling bee word. You and some crackerjack Indian kid left on the stage in a big spelling bee televised. Reconnoiter. 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 Evidently that means to survey and scout, check out the land. And that's what the Israelites wanted to do, is check out the land. They wanted to know what they were getting into before they entered and conquered. Just like a lawyer needs to know the answer before he even asks the question. He doesn't want any surprises. Like Darden in the OJ trial, as we all recall that. I watched every second of that, by the way. Darden, he let OJ try on the glove. Why would he chance that? You don't chance that. You don't know what's going to happen. And as we know, the case was basically lost because of that glove trying on with Cochran, with Slick Cochran. If it doesn't fit, you got to quit. What? No, that's not it. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. That's it. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Here's a better slogan that Cochran could have used to the jury. He should have looked him in the eye and said, if you listen to my BS, then an IQ of a mosquito, you have less. That would have been much more appropriate. So the Israelite scouts went into Canaan and they inspected the land and they came back with a report. The book says, the land does indeed flow with milk and honey, and here is its fruits. They actually brought back huge fruit of grapes and pomegranates and figs, all kinds of good stuff. Everything God promised was there in that land. The soil was rich and fertile. It was a beautiful thing, a truly magnificent land. Like Jesus telling us about heaven, pretty much the same, where he tells us that in heaven, there's no pain, there's no suffering, and there's no sin. It's a sin-free zone. Unlike gun-free zones, which only allow and encourage thievery and killing and things like that, as we know. Now, this report that the 12 scouts came back with, it had good and bad news about Canaan, the promised land that they were about to enter. The book says, however, the people who are living in the land are fierce, and the towns are fortified and very strong. Fierce, like the board guy, very fierce. And all the people got scared. and they didn't want to go into the promised land of Canaan. They were scared, like a lifeguard at a public swimming pool blows her whistle, allowing everybody to jump in the pool, and nobody does. Why? Well, because they falsely believe that the previous swimming class of 20 preschoolers just peed the pool full of urine. But just like the pool of urine was imagined and not any kind of real threat, so too was the perceived danger in Canaan. Why? You may ask. Because God told them, I am with you. Have no fear. And when he says it, you got to believe it and proceed accordingly. This is your land to enter, God assures the Israelites. But the Israelites did have fear for their safety, did not trust and obey God's direction. And that's a problem. Not for God, but for the Israelites. They said, we cannot attack these people. They are too strong for us. So they spread discouraging reports among the Israelites.
Hi, this is Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, I just listened to you with your previous caller. I think that was Walt. And I just want Walt to know that I just got back from a dinosaur dig. And the evidence for against evolution and for creation was just astounding. This summer, I've had a chance to go to Grand Canyon and on a dinosaur tracks dig. We found tracks of a dinosaur and a human footprint.
Wait a minute. Are you an archaeologist or something? What kind of dig did you go on? What are you talking about? You think people know what you're talking about?
No, I got an opportunity to go dig for dinosaurs.
What does that mean?
And,
what does that mean? Or are you on an exhibition with an exhibition? And yeah, is that the word? You're on an
expedition.
With what is the word?
Expedition.
Expedition. Yeah, with a big brimmed hat. Is that what you did with archaeologists?
Oh yeah. Yep, all the stuff and working under a tent in the middle of the hot sun.
You can do that? Can any civilian do that?
Well, at least one of them you can. I went on one down to Glen Rose, Texas, where they've been finding human footprints, and we uncovered some new human footprints and three-toed dinosaur footprints on the same layer. And the evolutionists are going to deny it because it would totally destroy their position. They're going to say it can't possibly happen, but there they were. I personally dug them up with a team of about 20 other people, and we sledgehammered off the layer that's been there for 4,000 years and uncovered dinosaur tracks and human footprints in the same layer.
This is amazing.
It is.
Are you going to be on the news talk? Are you going to be on the news? Are you going to be on the news talking about this?
It's phenomenal. It's just amazing. The evidence is there, and I got a chance to talk to some of the rangers because that was down in Texas. That was a month ago, and I just returned back from Colorado, just south of the Dinosaur National Monument, and went on a dinosaur dig there.
I picture you with one of those little brushes, brushing away little dirt from a stone. Is that what you did?
That's what I did. Yep. We had to find the first evidence of a bone, and so then we have to get it uncovered as best we can without damaging it. And we're doing that with it, like you say, with a paintbrush and a little trowel and sledgehammer for the stuff above that.
Is this what you do with your free time?
Well,
how do you do this? I can't believe you're doing this.
I want to be a resource in the Lehigh Valley that people can talk about creation versus evolution. I'm looking for places to go and talk, and this is what I wanted to do in order to get some street cred, to go and actually do a dig myself. So,
well, you're on Don't Bring Up God. You got all the street cred you need. Hey, thank you for your call. Very interesting. And report back with more information in the future, okay?
I'll do that. God bless.
Thank you. The book says, their defense has left them, but the Lord is with us. Therefore, do not be afraid of them. And the Israelites entering Canaan, just about to anyway, still wouldn't listen. Hey, we in our life, same thing. We get scared and unsure of ourselves in our lives today. But we don't stop and retreat. Are we trusting our own judgments or God's clear instructions? There's only one correct answer there. Like when your wife asks you, hey, do I look fat in this dress? Did I gain weight? The only true response is, hey, you gain more of my love every day, dear. How's that? Hey, we got calls. Who's this?
Hey, Robert, it's Barry. How's it going?
Good. What's up?
Now, you were mentioning earlier about the bloody gloves and Johnny Cochran and then O.J. Simpson. I think that's the biggest example of planet evidence that that there could possibly be. Who leaves a bloody glove at the crime scene and one right at the house? That was planet evidence.
He obviously did it, and I just thought it was a shame that blacks were on one side and whites were on the other of this issue. But I do understand the black people to a degree because they have been shafted through the judicial system for many, many years, and they saw it as revenge, basically. So I can understand where they were coming from to a degree.
Well, here's what correlates to what you're saying. I don't trust the police with DNA evidence. I don't trust the authorities. Maybe the Israelites didn't, just to make an analogy, maybe the Israelites didn't trust Moses' authority. Maybe it's the same correlate, maybe they didn't accept the fact that it was the actual word of God.
No, that is a good correlation because Moses spoke for God, and they didn't listen. They didn't believe it. And look what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Now you understand where I'm coming from.
Yes. Good analogy.
People just don't ever always question authority, though. That's what I say, unless you know for a fact that it comes from God.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And some people pretend that they speak for God all the time, especially some of these preachers that you see. You can't fall for that.
All the time you say, "Oh, the Lord spoke to me this morning. The Lord spoke to me this morning." He speaks to them more than he did Moses.
Yeah, they say if you don't donate $40 million, God's going to take my life. Somebody pulled that more than once.
That was Oral Roberts, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I'll leave you go, Robert. Be safe.
All right, you too. We got another call. Who's this?
Robert.
Hey, Rudy, what's up?
Hey, good morning. I just want to tell Walt, Dr. B, he's a gentleman that he always refer his science to. He had an interview on WAB, and he was contradicting, what's his name?
Darwin?
Yeah, Darwin's. And because I forgot exactly what he said, but something has to do with DNA. Darwin does not mention DNA. You know what I mean? So his theory can't be, true.
As I said before, Darwin, everybody thinks of him as a learned professor and scientist.
No,
he wasn't.
No, and
A schmo.
Like I said, it was. If you look at Dr. Behe's book, he's from the Lehigh Valley area, Dr. Behe.
Okay.
And he'll talk everything about Darwin and how is it. It's not true, you know what I mean? And Walt supposedly, believed Dr. Behe because he was quoting him a couple times. So
right.
And the other thing I want to talk to you about, like when we keep talking about 60 million years about the dinosaurs, they were extinct 60 million years ago and all of that. If they tell you that, like metal or glass, whatever, it would deteriorate in 1 million years or even less. Or plastic, you see stuff, hard stuff,
deteriorate, yes.
In like 500 years or even 5 years for that matter. Or
yes.
How could a bone last 60 million years in the ground?
Yeah, I don't buy any of that. It's ridiculous to me.
60 million years, bro. 60 million. You're not talking about 5,000 years, 2,000 million. I don't know. Exactly.
You take what Darwin says. A lot of people do as gospel truth. Who is he? He's just a dude, man.
No, I've been hearing about. I've always listened to shows, but I don't care to really remember like the exact things they're saying. But everybody's saying that Darwin's theory is not true. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully they'll start teaching our kids the
I'm
reverse
not sure why
of that.
Walt keep bringing it up, and Walt should know because he listened to these programs I listened to, and they talked about they always talk about Darwin theory that it's not true. I'm not sure why he's not getting it.
Well,
All right.
maybe one day he will. Hey, thanks, Rudy, for the call.
Thank you, Robert. Bye-bye.
So let's not use and depend on our finite, limited brain power to figure things out. Choose God in lieu of yourself. God is never wrong. We, on the other hand, many times are. Apart from the will of God, hey, we get ourselves in trouble. And you got to make a decision. You got to say, hey, are you with God or against me? Are you with me or against me? As it says in the book. You got to choose. There's no middle ground there. So God was disappointed with the Israelites once again, possibly even angry because they didn't want to go into the promised land of Canaan. Just like today, we ignore our end game of heaven. We don't think it's that great. We don't believe God. We don't even believe that it exists sometimes. But God said to them, how long will they refuse to believe in me, despite all the signs I have performed among them? Which included food dropping from the sky, water flowing from a rock. But throughout it all, almost all the time, the Israelites were complaining and doubting, just like we do today. They eventually forgot, evidently. They forgot in their travels all the care and love and promises and miracles that God Almighty performed. They just threw all that out the window. They shoot it away like a common mosquito. And common mosquitoes, that's another interesting creature. I talked about the lightning bug, the mosquito with its long proboscis. I'm sure Walt has some bio comments on that. It's a long proboscis. It's like a long silly straw like they used to have. They're curved like a wrapped hose. Although maybe that's more for the butterfly. I think in mosquito, this proboscis just hangs there ominously. And that proboscis punctures your skin and sucks your blood. I guess they need the blood to have babies. But it's pretty gross, sucking your blood. I'm thinking Dracula should have had 2 proboscises instead of 2 fangs. I think they're more efficient. Yeah, there's less cleanup for sure. You know, Dracula's got he ends up with a bloody mess all over his face. He's got to take a shower. I think the proboscises would be much more cleaner, don't you? Hey, if he had 2 of those babies, he could stretch them across the room and he can dig into somebody's neck. He'd be less conspicuous. So I think there should be a movie that comes out replacing the 2 fangs with 2 proboscises. That's another word. That's another spelling bee word. Proboscis. P-R-O-B-O. Can I have that in a sentence? So when the Israelites refused to enter Canaan, what did God do? What was God's recourse there? Well, he sent them packing for another 40 years, going around in circles through the desert. The book says, not one shall see the land which I promised on oath to their fathers. None of these who spurned me shall see it. Sort of like us again. If we spurn God and ignore him, where do you think we're going to end up? So in Canaan there, right on the borderline, ready to go in, they turned around. And all the people 20 years old and up, all eventually died in the desert. They paid the penalty for disobeying clear instructions from God. And again, it's the same with us. We know clearly what is right and wrong by now. Yeah, we do, according to the Bible. It's very simple to know and realize. And if you say to yourself, hey, who needs it? I'm the boss of my own life. Well, then you'll be the boss of those consequences that follow also. Unpleasant consequences, to say the least. Hey, you made your bed, now you got to lie in it. And I never liked making beds, by the way. Making your bed. Do you still make your bed, everybody out there listening? Some people do it like clockwork. I don't make my bed. Do you? Or does the maid do it? And by the maid, I mean your wife. Ooh, did I say that? Oh, I'm going to get a dirty look when I get home for sure. Bored guy, is there a flower shop on the way home? I might have to attend and drop by on the way. You know I'm only serious.